Alright, Indian red chili pickle. I love Indian pickles, so I thought I'd have a go at making one of my own. And I've recently looked at a video by a new friend of mine called Ritika's Kitchen. And she did this wonderful red chili pickle, which I'm now going to try and emulate. It combines quite a lot of ingredients, so we'll go through them one at a time. She used 1500 grams of chilies, but I'm only using around about 500 grams of chilies. So what I've done is I've scaled her recipe down so that it will work for me. And it's I've just done a very simple tabulated version of the recipe, which I'll put a link to in the description below. What I'm using here, I can't get super fresh chilies where I am at the moment, but because they're going into a pickle, I didn't think it would matter too much that I'm using frozen, but defrosted and dried. So I've left them on this paper so that they've not got too much moisture on them. And the first thing we need to do is get those cut up into a bowl. I'm going to use the technique that Ritika used. Let's get a few of these out of the way. I'm going to just use the technique Ritika used, and she just used a pair of scissors and cut them into pieces like that. And then I'll just go through all those and get back to you. Take the usual precautions when handling hot peppers. If you're not used to it, I'm rather used to it, but if you're not used to it, make sure you wear rubber gloves, because capsaicin, which is the hot ingredient in all hot peppers, is quite a powerful irritant. So be careful, and if you don't use gloves, be very careful where you touch yourself after you've been cutting them up. So there we are, we've got it all mixed up. There'll be a link to Ritika's Kitchen at the end of the video, that will link direct to a channel, but you'll also see above you now, you'll see a link to Ritika's actual recipe for this wonderful pickle. I'm now going to make up the spice mix. So let's get to my recipe sheet and let's see what we need. Well, we've got the 500 grams of chilies. Let's get that out of the way. And I'm going to need about 8 grams of fenugreek seeds. Now, I'm going to toast these things off in this pan. So, fenugreek seeds. So let's get a tear weight on that. Fenugreek seeds have this lovely, almost sulphuric sort of smell to them, but they really add a lot of excellent flavour. So let's measure that. I'm going to want 8 grams of them, so that's basically 2 teaspoons. So 8 grams of those, and 16 grams of coriander seeds. 16, there we go. 16 grams of that. I'm going to put all this into there and begin to roast it. I don't have time to roast it all separately, but that's probably terrible of me. And I'm going to need some fennel seeds, and again 16 grams. 16 grams of fennel seeds. I'm going to get those roasting. I know I should roast these individually, but I'm lazy. If you want to see how to do it properly, check the link above and go to Ritika's Kitchen, because she's excellent. I haven't been watching her videos long, but everything she's done is golden, really. It's really excellent stuff. So let's get all that roasted up. So generally when I'm roasting spices like this, I just keep it moving around in the pan, and I turn that to sort of a medium-high heat, and just stir it. And then what happens is you get this aroma that comes off them, and they turn a shade darker, they just toast. So just keep that moving. I love spices, and a key component in all Indian pickles is fennel seed. You see it in all of them, and it has a wonderful anisette type flavour to it. I love it. I really do love that flavour. In fact, I love all the spices. They're amazing. And I'll just keep that going now for a minute or two until they're perfect. Okay, that looks and smells great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to transfer that over to my pestle and mortar and grind it. Oh my people, my senses are being assaulted by the most amazing aromas here. Oh, the lemony smell of coriander, the wonderful anisette tang of fennel. Oh, I could put this in a coffee mill and grind it up, but doing this, it's no chore. I tell you, boys and girls, it's a labour of love. Fenugreek also has this amazing aroma that comes out double once it's been roasted. I can't describe it. It's just slightly sulphuric. It's a wonderful smell though, a real nice, delicious smell. There's something about hand grinding spices that makes it really satisfying. Not least of which is this aroma I'm getting from it as I'm doing it. It's really worth the time spent doing it, if you can. So there we are. I've got that ground up fairly fine. Not terribly fine, because I don't mind a few bits of slightly chunky spices in my mix. And we now need to move on to the other ingredients that go in this. Right, the other ingredients are... Right, let's have a look. I need 33 grams of mustard powder. So let's get my trusty scales again. 33 grams of... Now you can... I've got some yellow mustard seeds that you can grind up, or you can use black mustard seeds if you've got those. I've got some somewhere. Let me show you them. These are brown mustard seeds, black mustard seeds, and they're very similar to yellow. It's just the colour's different. So that's the yellow ones versus the black. So... But if you're going to make a Dijon mustard, you want to use the dark ones. If you're going to use an English style mustard or a lighter mustard, you use the yellow ones. But they're pretty much interchangeable as far as flavour goes. Right, to save me a bit of labour, I'm going to actually use this wonderful product from Coleman's of Norwich. And this is Coleman's mustard, which is basically just ground up mustard seeds. So I'm going to add, how much of that do I need? 33 grams, that's a considerable amount. That's it, 33 grams of mustard powder. Put that on the side. In fact, that can go straight into my spice mix. And I'm going to use 25 grams of amchur. Amchur is a type of sour mango which has been dehydrated and then powdered. So I'm going to, you can buy it in bags from Indian stores. It's called amchur or mango powder, and I love it. It adds a wonderful sour, sweet sour tartness. It's a wonderful product, wonderful product. As wonderful as the fruit that bears it, the best fruit in the world. So we want 25 grams of amchur. 25 grams of amchur. That's going to really hit it with some nice sweet sour tang. Wonderful. And we're going to want 10 grams of turmeric. So I'm just going to make that up to 36 grams of turmeric, and that can go in my spice mix. And then we want salt. I've got 66 grams of salt already made up, and I've used a mixture of sea salt, flaked sea salt, and I started off with 2 heaped teaspoons of black salt powder. Now, it's sometimes called kalanamak powder. How do I explain it? Again, you've got that scent of a sort of sulfuric smell to it. And this powder's used quite a lot in Indian snack spice mixers. So it's a flavour. If you're familiar with Bengal mix and Bombay mix and things like that, you've probably already had black salt powder at some time. So what I've done is I've just used 2 teaspoons of that because it is rather a powerful flavour, and I've made that up to 66 grams with ordinary sea salt, with that's sea salt flakes. And the other thing we're going to need is 10 grams of ajwain and 10 grams of kalonji. So I'll talk you through those now. Ajwain seeds are really, they're perhaps the newest spice that I've discovered. And I can't describe how wonderful this is. It's otherwise known as a carom seed, but it's the seed of a very primitive type of carrot, I believe. And if you smell it, it's almost like, if you could imagine a perfume made out of carrots, that's what that smells like. Right, let's get a measure of that in there. So I want 10 grams, so it's basically 2 teaspoons of it should be. That's 10 grams, and we want those whole. So we'll keep those whole. And I also want in some kalonji. And kalonji, I think they're sometimes called nigella seeds. But you'll find them if you eat naan bread. You'll see these sprinkled on naan bread, and they are the seed of an onion, a type of onion seed. So we want 10 grams of those, so I'll make that up to 20 grams with these. Right, we're ready to rock and roll. And the other thing we will need is mustard oil. I'm going to need 166 millilitres of mustard oil, but look at that beautiful yellow colour on it. It's lovely, isn't it? There's 250 mils there, so I'm going to need about 2/3 of that. So, right, let's get mixing. Okay, I think I left out the 8 grams of cumin seeds, and if I didn't, then don't worry about it. But I'm going to add them to the whole seeds. These are toasted cumin seeds, that's how I keep them. So I'm going to add 8 grams of that. So just hit the tare weight on that. because I love jeera. I love this. I love that spice. So that I've just chucked that into the whole spices, so it might differ slightly from the original recipe. Right, so let's get this out of the way, and let's stir to mix those wonderful spices. Alright, it's time to assemble. Right, I'm going to get another big bowl and a big stirring spoon, and let's get cracking. So into the bowl goes my chilies, and get that all in because I don't want to waste anything. Don't like waste me. Right, and into that goes the salt. I'll give that a stir to combine it. Ooh, wow, that smell. I'm going to with this. In goes my whole spices. Yum. And my wonderful mix of ground spices. Let's get all that in there. Look at all that goodness going in there, boys and girls. Look at all that. You know, I already know that this cannot fail. This cannot fail. This is going to be culinary magic. And what I like to do, I like to do when I mix things like this, I like to get it all mixed in dry ingredients before I put the oil in, before I add the wet ingredients. And the wet ingredients in this case is that lovely yellow sasang catel or mustard oil. Right, about 2/3 of that. I don't think it's an exact science, and I'll see if I need more in a second. I think I might. Oh, it's starting to look and smell just like a proper Indian pickle now. I'm going to put a bit more of that in, because a little extra never hurt. Wow, look at that. I'm pretty pleased with that, you know. Sorry, but I've got to have a taste of that. Taste as you go, Peter. Oh my. Wow. Wow. Well, just from that tiny taste, I can tell you that is better than anything I've ever bought in a jar. That is unbelievable. Wow. Look at that. Fabulous. Now I've just got to find myself a suitable jar to put that in. Sorry. Before I put that in a jar, the tradition has it that this would be covered with a muslin cloth or something like that, and then left out in the sun. Now, it would be covered and sealed like that and then left out in the sun for about 2 days. But this is North Wales, boys and girls, and we're not exactly overwhelmed with sunshine at this time of year. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to adapt that and create some artificial sunshine. Now the way I'm going to try that is to turn my oven up, my fan oven up, and the fan's important, to the lowest setting, which is, in my case, it's 50 Celsius, a very, very low setting, the lowest setting your oven will take, and preferably a fan oven if you've got one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just spread this out in a baking tray and then leave it as if it was drying in the sun for that time. put that out of the way. So there's my baking tray. And let's spread that out. Oh, that is just, look at that. Those who know me as a pepper mouth will know just how happy I am at this. My dear friends in Trinidad, they'll be looking at this with some interest too, I think, because it's a lot like their cuchilla in the way it's made. I just love this. With I scoop this onto papadums, onto chips of papadums, and eat that just before I eat a curry meal, rather like an appetizer. So I'm spreading that out, and I'm just going to sort of punch little holes in the area of it a little bit, and I'm just going to try that out in a very low oven for 1 hour, maybe 2, but I'll keep an eye on it. What I want to do is just let it dry out a little bit and see what happens. What I think is going to happen is that those flavours will develop, they'll become stronger, and I think we'll see a little bit of separation of oil from the spices. But I'm really anxious to see what that turns out like. It already tastes amazing, so it's only going to improve. And just for interest, the type of chilies I used were bullet chilies. So the chilies you want to use for this are not your strongest. In Trinidad, your pimiento chilies would work rather well. In the UK, the rather large red Kenyan chilies that we get, or Egyptian chilies that we get, are just as good for a dish like this. And in America, I would think something like a jalapeno chili, but something red to give it this gorgeous colour. So I'm going to put that in the oven and let's see how it turns out. So after only about an hour at 50 degrees, it's got to the point where I kind of think that's ready for jarring up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that into a sterilised jar and then just keep it for a minimum of, I would think, about 4 weeks before I delve into the jar and start enjoying what looks like a super delicious Indian style chili pickle. Enjoy. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you would like to follow my channel, please subscribe and be sure to click the bell icon to receive notification of all my upcoming videos. Thanks for watching.